Marcus had nothing. No home, no family. Yet when he saw two bullies shove Lily to the ground, he didn't hesitate. They beat him till he was barely breathing, but he still stood between them and her. When Reaper, the feared Hell's Angel, heard a homeless boy took a beating protecting his daughter, the streets went silent. That night, engines roared through the city. Marcus opened his eyes to blinding headlights and heavy boots closing in. A 12-year-old boy lay on cold concrete, ribs throbbing, blood in his mouth, and he still refused to move. Marcus could taste iron and dust. Each breath burned like fire, but his small body stayed planted between the two older boys and the little girl pinned against the graffiti-stained wall. "Move, rat," the taller bully snarled, kicking Marcus in the side. Pain flashed white behind his eyes. He choked, rolled slightly, dragged himself back into position. Behind him, a broken sob. "Please stop. Please." The girl whimpered. He didn't even know her name. He just heard the frightened cry, rounded the corner, and seen two boys at least 5 years older shoving a tiny 7-year-old to the ground. Her pink backpack lay ripped open, crayons and a small doll scattered in the dirt. One boy held her wrist twisted behind her back. The other dug through her things, laughing. His body moved before his fear could catch up. Now his skinny arms shook as he stared up at them, teeth clenched, knees pressed into broken glass. "Hey," he rasped. "You touch her again, you go through me." The shorter boy snorted. "You see this, Cade? Street trash wants to be a hero." Cade stepped closer. "You know whose kid this is, huh? You know who you're really messing with." Marcus had no idea. "I don't care," Marcus said. "Leave her alone." Cade's eyes went cold. The punch came fast. Knuckles cracked off his jaw, his head snapped sideways. Stars exploded behind his eyes, but all he could feel was the small hand clutching the back of his shirt. "Stop it, please," she screamed. "Leave him alone." Cade hit him again. The other boy kicked his legs out. Marcus dropped but immediately crawled forward, dragging himself back into that thin line between them and her. He had nothing, no home, no family left, no one who would miss him. But right now, he mattered. Right now, his body was the only wall she had. "I said move," the second bully shouted, stomping on his hand. Bones ground painfully. Marcus bit back a scream but didn't roll aside. He shoved his swollen fingers under his chest and lifted his head again. The girl's face was streaked with tears, brown hair tangled, knees scraped. Her wide eyes looked at Marcus like he was someone impossible. "What's your problem, man?" The shorter bully spat. "You don't even know her." Marcus coughed, spat blood to the side. "I know she's a kid," he managed. "And you're cowards." For a moment, there was silence. Then Cade smiled. "Cowards, huh? Let's fix your mouth." He grabbed Marcus by the collar and yanked him up, slamming him against the brick wall. Marcus' head ricocheted off rough stone. "You think you're tough?" Cade whispered. "You think you're some kind of savior?" The other boy shoved the girl harder against the wall. "You watching, Lily? This is what happens when trash gets in the way." Lily. So that was her name. Cade drew his arm back. The punch crashed into Marcus's ribs. Air exploded from his lungs. A second punch came, then a third. Each hit pounding through his thin body. He sagged, vision blurring, but Cade didn't let him fall. "Stop!" Lily sobbed. "You're hurting him. Please stop." Cade dropped Marcus at last. Marcus curled on his side, clutching his ribs, dragging in ragged breaths. He heard the scrape of shoes as they turned back to Lily. Something inside him snapped again. Marcus forced his arm to move. He planted his palm on the ground and pushed. His body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds, but he dragged himself forward. Knees scraping, chest burning. He wedged himself there again, shaking so hard he thought his bones might rattle. He spread his arms, a tiny human shield. Cade stared in disbelief. "You serious?" Lily choked on a sob. "Please stop hurting him, please." Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "You want her. You got to go through me." Cade's face twisted. "You had your chance." The second boy kicked him in the back, then the ribs again. A boot connected with his shoulder, his hip, his leg. Each impact blurred the edges of his vision. Still, he stayed where he was. He was 12, small, and already half broken by life. But in this moment, he was unmovable. Far away, an engine revved. Lily reached out. "Please stop. My dad. My dad's going to find you." The second boy shrugged her off. "Oh yeah. Your dad. The big bad biker? Where is he now?" Cade leaned down close to Marcus's face. "You know who her dad is? You've heard of Reaper? Hell's Angels." Marcus' stomach tightened. But even if Reaper himself was standing at the end of the alley, it wouldn't change what was happening right now. "I know she's scared," Marcus whispered. "And I'm not moving." Cade yanked his head back further, fury flickering. Then the second boy froze. "Dude, you hear that?" The alley went still. Under the thudding of Marcus's heartbeat, something else crept into the edge of sound. The deep growling rumble of multiple engines. Distant but growing louder. Lily's eyes widened. Hope and terror collided on her face. "Man, we got to go," the second boy muttered. Cade glanced down at Marcus, then at Lily, then toward the sound. "This isn't over," he spat, kicking Marcus one last time. Then they ran. Marcus collapsed fully, cheek pressed against the ground. He felt small hands on his shoulder. "Hey," Lily whispered, voice shaking. "Hey, stay awake. Please don't die." He forced his eyes open. Up close, she looked even younger. Freckles dusted her nose. Her eyes were glassy with tears. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. "You don't even know me." "Yeah," he breathed. "I did." Behind her, something small glinted on the ground. An iron-on patch that had fallen from her backpack. A skull with wings. The Hell's Angels emblem. Lily wiped at her eyes. The rumble of engines grew louder, closer, filling the air. "I need to get my dad," she whispered. "He's going to come." Marcus tried to lift his head. "Go," he whispered. "Just go." She hesitated, then squeezed his shoulder. "Don't leave," she said. "Please don't leave." Then she ran, disappearing around the corner. Marcus lay alone in the alley. The engines grew louder, closer. The last thing he saw before his eyes slid shut was the shadow of a bike rolling across the far wall. The engines were the first thing Marcus felt. Deep thunderous vibrations rolling through the concrete into his bones. He forced his eyes open. The sky had shifted from pale afternoon to bruised evening. Headlights washed over the far end of the alley. A line of motorcycles slid into view. A wall of chrome, leather, and growling engines blocking the world beyond. Dark silhouettes sat atop each bike. Broad shoulders, sleeveless cuts, patches he couldn't quite see clearly. They weren't here by accident. The lead bike rolled forward. A heavy boot kicked the doll gently aside. The rider shut off the engine. One by one, the others followed, and silence fell, thick and electric. The man from the lead bike swung his leg over and stood. He was tall, built like someone the world would be stupid to test. A leather cut hung over his black shirt. On his back, the emblem was impossible to miss. A skull with wings. Hell's Angels. Marcus' stomach nodded. Reaper. Reaper stepped forward, boots crunching over glass. The other bikers followed, fanning out, blocking any escape. Reaper stopped a few feet away, looking down. His eyes were dark, calculating, dangerous in a way that felt colder. "You the kid?" Reaper asked, voice low. Marcus blinked. "What kid?" Reaper's gaze flicked across his battered face, split lip, swelling jaw. "The one who stood over my daughter. The one who got his bones rattled in this alley." The words clicked slowly. "Daughter. Lily." Marcus swallowed. "She okay?" he asked. Reaper's eyes narrowed. "You worried about her before yourself?" One of the bikers stepped forward. "Reaper, this the kid from the video. Same alley, same clothes, same broken face." Reaper crouched, bringing his massive frame down to Marcus level. "You stand up for her." You take hits for her. Why? Marcus hesitated. She was crying, he said finally. They were bigger. It wasn't fair. Reaper's eyes locked onto his. You know who she is. Somebody's kid. Mine. The word dropped heavy between them. Marcus tensed. He'd stood between Bullies and the daughter of the kind of man everyone crossed the street to avoid. Behind Reaper, leather creaked. Boots shifted. None of the men spoke. They were waiting. How old are you? Reaper asked. 12, Marcus croaked. One of the bikers swore softly. 12 and took on 2 punks. Reaper kept his eyes on Marcus. You from around here? Marcus almost laughed. Everywhere. Nowhere. Reaper's gaze flicked to a torn backpack in the corner. You live on the street? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. The dirt on his clothes, the thinness of his wrists said enough. Heavy footsteps approached. Dad! Lily's voice cut through the air. She slipped past one of the men, bursting into the alley. Her eyes locked onto Marcus. You found him, she gasped. You found him. She dropped to her knees beside Marcus. Her little hands hovered over his face. You're okay, she whispered. You're okay, right? Told you. I'd stay, he muttered. You know what he did. Reaper asked Lily. Lily nodded quickly. They were hurting me. They pushed me and ripped my bag and they said stuff about you and I tried to leave but they wouldn't let me and he... She turned back to Marcus, eyes full of awe. He just ran in. He didn't even know me. He wouldn't move. They kept hitting him and he wouldn't move. Marcus stared at the wall, embarrassed. He's the reason I got away, Lily said firmly. He's the reason I'm here. The alley went even quieter. Reaper straightened slowly. His jaw tightened hard enough that the muscle near his ear jumped. First, Reaper said finally, voice calm but edged with steel, I want the names of the boys who laid hands on my daughter. Lily flinched. Cade, she whispered. And Milo. Reaper nodded once. He glanced over his shoulder. You heard her. Find them. A ripple went through the men. 2 bikers broke off immediately. Another pulled out his phone. Reaper looked down at Marcus again. They hurt my blood. You stood in the way. That doesn't make you smart. Marcus gave a tiny crooked half-smile. Didn't say I was smart. For the first time, a ghost of a smile touched Reaper's mouth. It was gone almost as soon as it appeared. Can you stand? He asked. Marcus thought about lying. But when he shifted, pain slammed through him so hard his vision blackened. No, he admitted. Reaper motioned with 2 fingers. A huge man with a long beard stepped forward. Ghost, get him up. Ghost crouched. Easy, kid. Going to hurt, but I won't drop you. He slid an arm under Marcus's shoulders and another beneath his knees, lifting him as if he weighed nothing. Lily followed close, one hand clutching her doll. You're taking him to the clubhouse? One of the men asked quietly. Wait, Marcus rasped. Where? Where are you taking me? Reaper stepped close. You saved my daughter. That makes you our problem now. The bikes roared back to life, one after another. Ghost carried Marcus toward the mouth of the alley, Lily trotting at his side. Reaper walked just ahead. At the edge of the sidewalk, Ghost paused. Marcus caught a glimpse of the street. People staring, some recording on their phones. Reaper swung onto his bike. Lily was lifted gently onto the one behind him. Ghost climbed onto his own, still cradling Marcus. Stay close, Reaper called to his crew. And keep your eyes open. Cade and Milo show up anywhere near my kid, they don't walk away. The men answered with low sounds of agreement. As the line of bikes pulled out, Marcus caught one last glimpse of the alley where everything had changed. He had no idea what waited at the end of this ride. He didn't know if our problem meant he'd found something like a family or stepped into a new kind of danger. The bikes surged forward. Behind them, the alley disappeared. Ahead, somewhere in the city's maze of streets, 2 names, Cade and Milo, were about to learn what it really meant to hurt a Hell's Angel's daughter.